Hello everyone, welcome back. In previous video, we have studied concept of a compiler and interpreter. So let us just continue the role of compiler. Compiler reads the source code and outputs executable code. Translates software written in high-level language into an instruction that computer can understand. It converts the text that a programmer write into a format the CPU can understand. The process of compilation is relatively complicated because during compilation it create many data structure and many intermediate code. That's why it is very complicated. It spend a lot of time in analyzing and processing the program. The executable result is some sort of a machine specific binary code. Now let us see a role of an interpreter. Interpreter convert the source code line by line during runtime. Interpret completely transfer a program written in a high level language into a machine level language. Interpreter allow evaluation and modification of the program while it is executing. Relatively less time spent for analyzing and processing the program. Program execution is relatively slower compared to compiler. Now, difference between compiler and interpreter. Advantage of compiler is program code is already translated into a machine code, thus code execution time is less, whereas interpreter is easier to use and especially for beginners because it does not create any intermediate results or intermediate source code that you need to understand. Disadvantage: you can't change the program without going back to the source code, whereas in interpreted program it can run on a computer that have the corresponding interpreter. Running time: compiled code run faster in compiler, whereas interpreted code runs slower. This is because interpreter interpret line by line, whereas compiler compile your whole program at once. This is why once your program is compiled successfully, then you can run your program very speedily, whereas this is not possible in interpreter. Compiler takes an entire program as an input, whereas interpreter take a single line of code as an input. Compiler generates intermediate machine code, whereas interpreter never generate any intermediate machine code. Compiler display all error after compilation, all at the same time, whereas interpreter display all error of each line one by one. A language which is using a compiler are C, C++, Java, okay, whereas a language is using interpreter to convert high level into a machine language is PHP, Ruby, Ska, Perl. These are the example of language. So that's it about compiler and interpreter. Okay, hope you have understood well. See you next time. Bye bye.